Derrick Rose. What if he never got hurt? Derrick Rose wasn't just an MVP, he was Chicago's chosen one. Explosive, fearless, built like a point guard, but moving like a human cheat code. For a brief moment, he looked like the man who would actually challenge LeBron's throne. But then his knee exploded in 2012, and suddenly, the next Jordan turned into the NBA's biggest what if. Imagine Rose staying healthy. Chicago could have run the East. LeBron's Miami dynasty might have been just a 2-year fling, and maybe the Bulls finally break the curse. Instead, Rose's knees went out before his prime even began, and all fans got was one glorious MVP season and a tragic highlight reel. Michael Jordan. What if he never retired in 1993? Michael Jordan left the NBA in 1993 to play baseball. Yes, the GOAT swapped finals MVPs for minor league strikeouts. The world lost 2 years of peak Jordan, and Houston stole 2 championships in the process. But what if Jordan never left? Forget 6 rings. We're talking 8 straight titles. Hakeem never gets his glory. Barkley stays ringless. Okay, that still happened. And the GOAT debate doesn't even exist. Because if Jordan stacks 8 rings in a row, there's no conversation left to have. His biggest opponent wasn't the Pistons or the Knicks or the Jazz. It was boredom. LeBron James. What if he never left Cleveland? In 2010, LeBron broke Cleveland's heart on live TV with The Decision. Fans burned his jersey, called him a traitor, and the word super team became the NBA's most hated buzzword. But what if he stayed? Cleveland's roster at the time was so bad he might have turned into the Karl Malone of Ohio. MVP numbers, 0 rings, no Miami dynasty, no Heatleys. Maybe KD never bolts to Golden State because LeBron never sets the blueprint. Staying in Cleveland could have meant LeBron goes down as a tragic hero. Instead, he became the architect of modern player empowerment. Kobe Bryant. What if Chris Paul joined him in LA? The Lakers had a deal locked. Chris Paul was coming to LA to join Kobe Bryant. 2 killers in one backcourt. But then David Stern vetoed the trade, saying it wasn't fair. Fair? The Lakers were robbed. Imagine Kobe with CP3. Kobe doesn't spend his last years dragging Smush Parker-level teammates. Chris Paul doesn't spend his career as the ringless point god. The Lakers probably hang at least 2 more banners. Instead, the trade died. CP3 became the unluckiest star alive, and Lakers fans are still salty enough to file a lawsuit against Stern in spirit. Shaquille O'Neal. What if he never left Orlando? Shaq in the 90s was a literal monster. Paired with Penny Hardaway, Orlando looked like a dynasty waiting to happen. But then Shaq left for LA in free agency, and Orlando became Orlando. What if he stayed? The Magic could have been the Lakers before the Lakers. Rings, dominance, and a dynasty built in Florida sunshine. Instead, Shaq left, won 3 rings with Kobe, and Orlando fans were left staring at Tracy McGrady, dropping 40 in the first round, and still losing. Shaq's exit didn't just hurt, it cursed the Magic for decades. Steph Curry. What if the NBA never added the 3-point line? Steph Curry didn't just change basketball, he rewrote its entire code. But imagine if the NBA never added the 3-point line in 1979. Curry would have been, what? A flashy guard with a weird jumper? A role player? The man would have been robbed of his entire superpower. And forget the Warriors dynasty. No Splash Brothers, no 73-9, no Steph effect. James Harden never spams step-backs. Houston never exists as a math experiment. Half the kids in gyms worldwide wouldn't be launching 30-footers like maniacs. Without the 3-point line, Curry doesn't just lose his throne. The entire modern NBA collapses back into the Stone Age of mid-range and post-ups. Grant Hill. What if he stayed healthy? Before LeBron, there was Grant Hill, a 6'8" point forward who could score, rebound, defend, and pass like he was built in a lab. In the 90s, he wasn't just good, he was the chosen one. Some said he was the heir to Jordan's throne. But then came the ankle injuries, surgery after surgery. Doctors wondered if he'd even walk without pain again. His prime years vanished into hospital rooms. What if Hill stayed healthy? Maybe Detroit doesn't fade. Maybe Hill wins MVPs. Maybe he is the one standing in LeBron's spot years later. Instead, his destiny was stolen by a pair of ankles that couldn't handle greatness. Kawhi Leonard. What if he stayed in Toronto? Kawhi Leonard hit the most iconic shot in Raptors history, that four-bounce buzzer beater against Philly, and then carried Toronto to its first championship. Canada crowned him the Claw King. But 1 month later, he dipped to LA. What if Kawhi stayed? The Raptors could have been the new Eastern dynasty. Giannis might still be waiting for a ring. Maybe Toronto repeats, maybe three-peats. Instead, Kawhi left. The Raptors collapsed back into meh, and Canadian fans are still stuck rewatching that one glorious shot like it's the national anthem. Carmelo Anthony, what if the Pistons drafted him? 2003 draft. LeBron went number 1. The Pistons had the number 2 pick. On the board? Carmelo Anthony, fresh off a college championship, but Detroit picked Darko Milicic, a man whose highlight tape is shorter than his Pistons career. What if they picked Melo? The Pistons already had a lockdown defense. Add Melo's scoring, and suddenly that team isn't just a one-hit wonder in 2004. They might have been a dynasty. Maybe they beat the Spurs. Maybe they stopped the Heat Big Three before it even starts. Instead, Darko gave them 0 points, 0 rings, and infinite memes. Nikola Jokić. What if he played in the 90s? Nikola Jokić is a 7-foot unicorn, a passing big man who runs an offense like a point guard. In today's NBA, he's a champion, a finals MVP, a walking triple-double. But what if you dropped him in the 90s? Coaches back then would have looked at him and said, "Stop passing. Get in the post." His creativity might have been wasted. Or maybe he breaks basketball 20 years early. Imagine 90s centers like Ewing or Mourning trying to guard a 7-footer running pick and rolls like Magic Johnson. Either Jokić is benched into obscurity, or he changes the game before anyone's ready. Either way, the 90s NBA wouldn't know what hit them.